You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And welcome back to the Snob OS show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We are back with another episode. This is episode 335 of the Snob OS show. And on this week's show, we got Apple press releases. We've got Apple drops the plus. We got Facebook removes ICE targeting Facebook group. And my tip for the week is using the Apple Fitness Workout Buddy. So we got all that coming up on this week's show. As per usual, we want to say thank you to all those who are supporting us. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/snoboscast. Support the show financially. It's a little $5. But if you do that, you get the show early. You get some live exclusive content that you will not find on this show as a thank you to our snobbish community. So we're going to jump right into the show. We always start with the lowdown. And like I mentioned at the top, Apple has unveiled or launched some press release hardware in the M5 chip. And the M5 chip will be powering this year's 14-inch MacBook Pro and the iPad Pro for this year, all including this new M5 chip. And I just want to do a quick little overview of the M5 chip. According to the Apple Newsroom, M5 introduces a next generation 10-core GPU architecture with a neural accelerator in each core, enabling GPU-based AI workloads to run dramatically faster. There's that AI buzzword. With over 4 times peak GPU compute performance compared to last year's M4. The GPU also offers enhanced graphic capabilities and third-party generation ray tracing that combined deliver a graphics performance that is up to 45% faster than the M4 chip. M5 features the world's fastest performance core with up to a 10-core CPU made of 6 efficiency cores and up to 4 performance cores. Together, they deliver up to 15% faster multi-threaded performance over M4. The new M5 also features an improved 16-core neural engine, a powerful media engine, and a nearly 30% increase in unified memory bandwidth up to 153 gigabits per second. So that is a lot of mumbo jumbo for this week. This year's M5 chip is faster than last year's chip. One thing I wanted to note about the M5 chip is this year, I don't know if they're either delaying it or decided to skip it, but the M5 chip, there is no M5, there's no M5 Pro, there is no M5 Ultra. There's just M5 chip. Mm-hmm. And they put it, like I mentioned, they put it, that we'll talk about a little bit later, in the latest iPad Pro and a 14-inch MacBook Pro. No 16-inch, no 15-inch, no 13-inch, just 14-inch MacBook M5 Pro. So what do you think about this new chip?
I think we've gotten used to seeing a new chip every year, just like we see a new iteration. And I think now that Apple has control over their chip market, they're able to do some things that are unique to the performance of MacBooks. And, not just the MacBook, but pretty much the whole line. It's interesting you didn't mention it. I don't know if it's an oversight or just like, we don't care about that. But there's a new Vision Pro.
Oh, yeah, we don't care about that.
And it has the M5 chip as well.
I will add that as a footnote.
I will have to say about the Vision Pro, the thing that was highlighted, it does get this new chip. It looks pretty much the same as the initial one, and it's still $3,500. So, that
price ain't moving.
The price is not moving. But back to the chip itself, I think, like I said, it's one thing when we had Intel Macs and when Intel, pretty much powers most, probably 60 to 80% of laptops across the board. And I
Mhm.
think the fact that Apple has gotten into the chip market, we're now in technically the fifth iteration, even though there are, um, I guess, subversions of some of the chips, how you have the Max and the Pro and the Ultra. But, on the face value, just the chip number itself. And I think Apple is able to customize these chips that give MacBooks, iPads, the necessary computing power that it needs for these devices. So you're kind of getting, not kind of, but you're getting the best version of a processor for this device. These chips are made specifically for MacBooks and Apple products. So you're getting the best version of processing and computing power that you can from these devices. And each year, as we get new devices, whether it be iPhone, whether it be, Apple Watch, whether it be, MacBook Pros, whatever the case may be, when we get these new chips, it just allows us to do things more efficient and faster and take some of the, I guess, heat off of what the laptop itself has to do. You have a chip that can manage all the things that people would do with a laptop, particularly power users who are developers, who are audio visual people. Um, so it's one of those things where it's made specifically for certain industries and it gives them, the biggest boost possible. So, it's always good. Uh,
And
to
another
get a new
thing,
device and chip.
yeah, no, I will say in addition to that, future proofing, right? Even though
Mhm,
you mentioned Apple is coming out with a new M whatever chip every year, nowadays with these chips and how powerful they are and how much what's the word, simultaneous, stuff. I know there's a better word for that.
mhm,
Stuff that it could do. Like for instance, a perfect example, me and my wife have started to have the college computer conversation. Like our daughter is going to college, she's going for a specific major, and we're trying to decide if we want to get her a hand me down MacBook. Like my wife, she gets my wife's old MacBook, which I think is an M1, and then get my wife something newer. Or do we want to get my daughter the computer that she's going to keep for her entire college
for 4
career?
years, yeah.
And you can do that with these new M chips in Apple, because even if she may not use all the processing power, I know that if I get this computer, we don't have to worry about it until she's like graduate and then some if she decides to go to graduate school. So
Mhm.
yeah, you could make the argument that these type of processors and neural engines and computer chips are built for specific industries like developers or number crunchers or whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
but also for longevity. It's like whatever I throw at it, whatever a regular consumer throws at it, is going to be just
It's
fine.
gonna eat it easy.
Right. Versus having to buy a computer and then in 2, 3 years, like, what do we do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've got my 16-inch M2 MacBook Pro, and I have no reason whatsoever to get rid of this and get another one because I'm that confident that it's going to last that long. And I think because, like you mentioned, Apple has got control of their processors, they can do some stuff specific for them and for people who want to keep a computer for a long time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. All right. So, in addition to the M5 chips, like I mentioned, Apple announced some hardware for those M5 chips. First being this new 14-inch MacBook Pro, and I just wanted to go over some of the highlights in this one as well. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with an M5 delivers up to 7.7 times faster AI video enhancing performance, up to 6.8 times faster 3D rendering, up to 3.2 higher frame rates in games, and up to 2.1% faster build performance when compiling, developing, and all that good stuff than the older 14-inch MacBook Pro with like M4. So there are all of these 7.7 times faster, 6.8 times faster is compared to the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M4. So just the M5 MacBook Pro is all those better than the last year's 14-inch MacBook Pro. Now that's pretty much it as far as layman's terms. The computer looks the same. There's no new ports. There's no new, colors. There's no new design. The M2 and up MacBook Pros look pretty much alike. They've got that
Mm.
dark, they call it black, but it's like a super dark gray color. They've got the gray, and then they've got the regular regular silver color. So outside of the M5 chip, ain't too much that I can tell that's different in the actual hardware outside of the M5 chip being added to the inside.
Yeah, it looks very much the same. And when I was looking at the pre order, I want to say that this is only, like you said, it's only, in the 14-inch for the M5, but it only comes in what they're actually calling black and
Yeah, yeah,
silver. So you're only getting,
that dark color.
those two
Yeah.
colors. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine. Um, her display on her Mac went out, and she took it somewhere to get it looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling her, it's going to cost you $1,000 to get the screen redone. And she
Mm-hmm.
was like, that seems like a lot. I was like, most times, if you have to get something like that repaired on a Mac, it's better just to buy something newer
Mm-hmm.
because you're only going to save a little bit of difference in price. But if you get a new machine, it's going to be completely, it's going to be exponentially better. And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that the guy told her was, I told her, I was like, if if you want to wait, because I was like, some M5s are coming soon, they're imminent any day now. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, just get you an external monitor,
Mm-hmm.
connect it, and go to work, go to town, because
Mm-hmm.
she does do a lot of video editing. And she was like, will anyone work? I was like, any monitor will work. And so she got an external keyboard, and she was like, oh my God. She was like, I'm going to keep this even when I get a new one, because this screen, I didn't know I could connect, an external monitor. And she does, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, a lot of editing. And she's like, this is amazing. She was like, oh my God, I didn't know. And I was like, yeah, I was like, just do that in the interim, especially if you want to get a new one. Because again, the display was gone. They were going to charge $1,000. You can get this M4, I mean, this M5 14-inch starting at $1,500. And they were going to charge her
Mm-hmm.
1,000 just to do the display. So it's just one of those things where a lot of times Macs hold up. They're expensive, but they hold up really well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you have options. And I know me personally, I'm still on my M1. It still does what I need it to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I have the 16-inch screen, and lugging this thing around, it's the 16-inch screen. You get a lot of real estate to see and do things. But
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of real estate is a lot of weight. So I had already been thinking about getting a new Mac. I think I'm going to actually get one of these 14-inch
Mm-hmm.
machines. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. I think
All right.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
get
Don't mess around like last time.
one. Right.
So
No messing around.
yeah, so some quick corrections. I'm lying on myself. I don't have an M2 16-inch Pro. I have an M4
I was
Pro.
about to say, when you said M2, I was like, I thought you got one
Yeah,
newer.
no, I got an M4 Pro MacBook Pro, but even still, the 15-inch or the 14-inch M5 is still better than mine, but not by a lot.
Hmm.
Not enough for me to switch,
Yeah.
but it is a little bit better, right? And then the
Yeah.
second correction is it does come in two colors. So let me give you the filling out. You can pre-order the 14-inch MacBook with Pro with M5 now, and it's starting at about, like Nika said, at $1,600 for the 14-inch, and it's available starting October 22nd. And it does come in a space black and a silver color. So it does have those two colors, but no gold, no blue, no purple, none of that. It's like for the pros, you get black or white, basically. All
Yep. Yep.
right. So the last one filling out the hardware is the iPad M5 Pro. So let them go through and do some of those. And these are all compared to the iPad Pro with M4. It's 6.7 times faster 3D rendering. It's 6 times faster video transcode performance in Final Cut Pro, 4 times faster AI image generation performance, and up to 3.7 times faster AI video upscaling in DaVinci Resolve for iPad, again, when compared to the M4. Same thing with the iPad M5 Pro. Nothing has really changed as far as the looks are concerned. And again, same thing with the iPad Pro. It's available for pre-order now, and then available starting October 22nd for that one. So, yeah, so Apple has rounded out its hardware for the M5. And I guess my question to you is, now that they've got a powerful laptop and a powerful iPad, are people still segmenting between what a MacBook can do versus what an iPad can do when they're both super similar as far as processing power, as far as capabilities?
Yeah, so I currently have an M4
Hmm.
MacBook Pro, and I really think it depends on what you need it for. If For me, I need both. I can't. I don't plan on giving up one for the other.
Hmm.
Um, they serve for me two distinct functions,
Okay.
and in a pinch, my iPad Pro could get some things done for me if I were in a pinch.
Hmm.
But for me, they serve two different purposes. Now, I think probably for people who are more on the go, or people who um, do a lot of maybe design work, because I think of, actual graphic designers, because most of the time, or animators, they need like the big screen, and they need the pencil to like draw and all that kind of stuff. I would think they probably have one big setup at home, but
Hmm.
if they're doing stuff on the go, an iPad Pro would, like me, help me in a pinch. But I just really think it depends on what people need, and again, what people's budgets are. If you have a budget, you need one, or you can only afford one. I think it depends on what you need it for. If you're not somebody, if you only need it to like look at the internet, check some emails, do a little bit of social media, all that kind of stuff, I would think, going with you a iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard, you're good to go.
Hmm.
But if you actually need a laptop to do something, if you are, like I said, a designer, or if you're a developer, or somebody who needs a real, something larger, then that's probably more your speed. But I don't think people are really choosing. I think a lot of people are getting both.
Hmm.
And just depending on what they need it for, that's what they use it for. But if you are on a budget and you can only buy one or the other, I
Hmm.
think it depends on what you'll really need it for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my daughter, the iPad Pro starts at 999. And like I mentioned, it's available pre-order now, available October 22nd. I could see this iPad Pro for my middle child.
Hmm.
She is my artist. We are starting to get her in some digital art classes because right now, up until this point, she's been doing paper
Hmm.
and using whatever the artist tools are for physical drawings, right?
Hmm.
I definitely, as far as future proofing is concerned, definitely want to get her into some digital art classes.
Yes.
Like, and the main one is Procreate.
Hmm.
With my daughter, her setup right now is she has a school computer, which is a little rinky dink PC
Hmm.
that can get to Google and can get to their Office 365, right?
Hmm.
And that's what she does for school.
Hmm.
For home, she has a M2 or an M1 Mac Mini
Hmm.
that she uses for gaming. Now, it's
Hmm.
supposed to be her school computer, but that ain't what she uses it for. She uses it for,
Gaming.
gaming, and she has an iPad that she uses for when she's walking around the house, when she wants to watch videos, and just her regular everyday consumption.
Hmm.
I could see giving up her iPad, her regular, because she's got the regular, entry level iPad 10, I
Hmm.
think, switching that out, getting her an iPad Pro, and that be her art, even slash computer or computer, her school computer,
Mhm.
because all she's doing is making sure she has access to Google Docs and has access to Microsoft 365, both of which you can do on an iPad, especially on an iPad Pro. So I
Yeah.
could see an iPad Pro being for somebody who is an artist, who is a photographer, who needs, like, if they go on location and
Mhm.
they're shooting a bunch of pictures, they don't have to transform to their phone in order to
To edit.
quickly make some edits, change the lighting. They can send it to their big, beautiful, powerful iPad Pro, make
Mhm.
the edits right there, give it right to the customer versus, all right, I took the pictures, let me go home and edit them. And then you go home and you do all the things. You can do that on site right then and there and do the, like, even caricatures, right? I've
Mhm.
seen on Instagram, they do the little funny caricatures, like the carnival
Oh,
caricature.
how they used to paint them and give you the paper.
Right. And they give you the paper. But instead of giving the paper, you give them a digital copy because you are drawing it
Mhm.
on an iPad Pro. So
Right.
I can definitely see those for that, to where you have two. You have a MacBook or a Mac Mini for at home, like the permanent setup,
Mhm.
and then everything else is iPad.
And honestly, now that you have these USB-C connections, if you just want to take your iPad Pro and connect it to an external monitor,
Mm-hmm.
you could use that and give you a bigger screen to be able to edit and do whatever. Use, like, a wireless keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
mouse, and just dock your iPad Pro into it
Sure
and
could.
be able to go
Sure
to
could.
town.
You sure could. You sure could. All right, so that pretty much rounds it out, with the exception of the Vision Pro. Nika, did you want to add anything to the to
No.
the Vision Pro? All right, hold on, let me.
I don't think we need to cover it until we get the Apple glasses at
Yeah,
this point.
you got that right. All right, so yeah, those are the three devices that have the new M5 chip. Like I said, all of them are either available now or available for pre-order now, and available October 22nd.
Mm,
All right. So the next thing I got in the lowdown is Apple drops the Apple TV Plus from their streaming service.
mhm,
And I don't know if it says it in this story, but I was listening or reading another story, and one of the head, Federici, no, it's not Federici, it's another guy. He's the head of Apple streaming services. And they were asking him, why did they drop the Apple TV Plus?
mhm,
And he basically said, because everybody just called it Apple TV. So they just
mhm,
said, we're just going to drop the name. But if you are looking, like I mentioned, if you're looking for, I think Apple's supposed to be very soon releasing their next version of the Apple TV 4K set top box.
mhm.
But I think when they do that, I think they're just going, not, I think they're going to just drop it to Apple TV. So you'll have an Apple TV set top box, and then you'll have Apple TV, the streaming service. When before, the differentiator was the set top box was Apple TV, the
Mhm.
streaming service was Apple TV Plus, which makes sense. But people were, the Apple and them were like, well, nobody says Apple TV Plus, so we're just going to drop the plus.
So I get that, but it's still, to me, there's no delineation between when you say Apple TV. Well, I guess if you're not into the hardware, you don't really care.
Right.
It's just all you know. You don't. Most people probably don't even know that there's a set top box
Right.
for Apple TV. And so
Mm-hmm.
when people say Apple TV, they just automatically go to the streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that change, particularly for people who are in the ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
who like to use the actual set top box. And nobody wants to say Apple TV set top box or Apple TV hardware. That's a mouthful. Nobody's saying that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate between the two,
And it's
because you can also have the Apple TV app
right.
and not have
Apple TV
the
Plus
Apple TV streaming
subscription.
service
Right.
or the Apple TV set top box.
Mm-hmm. You sure could. Yep. Because there's a lot of TVs that come out of the box with Apple TV, the streaming service that you can sign into and do your thing without even a set top box. So it'll be interesting to see this next set top box and how it makes it important or makes it keeps it relevant when I
Mhm.
can just go buy a TV that has Apple TV streaming service. Why
Mhm.
do I need a set top box? I can just
Right.
combine them into a TV. What does Apple release that makes the Apple TV set top box so special? And then also, how does Apple help consumers differentiate between Apple TV, the set top box,
Mhm.
Apple TV, the app,
Mhm.
and then Apple TV, the subscription service that you have to pay for?
Right.
Hmm.
The only thing I could really think, but I think it's the same thing that Amazon now is going through with the Fire Stick, because Fire TV is basically on pretty much every TV that you
Hmm.
don't need a Fire Stick. Most people get a Fire Stick these days to jailbreak it, but at
Hmm.
this point, anything you could jailbreak a Fire Stick for now, you can get. You don't necessarily have to jailbreak. I guess people still do it, but it doesn't, to me, give you that much benefit like it did back in the day when you were trying to pirate movies or do that type of stuff.
Hmm.
You don't really have to do that now, but I think it's probably going along the lines, Amazon is still dropping Fire Sticks, but, or they're called them Fire TV or whatever. But now it's built like the TV that I got last year, the Hyacinth. It comes with Fire TV built in. So I was like, I don't need that. And I
Hmm.
really don't need it because I'm just using the other apps anyway. So it's just really, it's getting a little kind of murky. The
Yeah.
waters are very murky.
All right. We'll see if Apple can straighten it all out, or does this just start to make sense to us? But yep, no more Apple TV Plus. It's just Apple TV on the Apple TV app on the Apple TV set top box.
I wonder if other people are gonna follow suit because everything is a plus now. Paramount Plus, Disney
Right.
Plus, everybody
Right.
got a plus. Now
Yeah.
Apple's like, you know what, we're gonna get rid of the plus and just go back to the regular name. But what if anybody else is gonna follow suit?
Right. Yeah. Time will tell. All right, that's going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk tech in general. And this is a continuation of, I think, last week to where we talked about both Apple and Google removing the ICE block app that let end users know when ICE was in their area due to reasons, right? This
Right.
ICE block app was to let people say, hey, ICE is in the area, watch out, or whatever the case may be. Pressure from the Department of Justice made Apple and Google remove it because, according to them, ICE agents were being targeted and were trying to protect the safety of the ICE agents. So basically,
Forget the safety of the
well,
people.
right,
We
forget,
only care about the ICE
right.
agents,
Basically, I was going to say Blue Lives Matter, right?
basically.
So, keeping up with Apple and Google, Meta removes the Facebook page allegedly used to target ICE agents again. After pressure from the Department of Justice, Meta removed a Facebook group page on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, that was allegedly used to, quote, dox and target U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in Chicago after being contacted by the Department of Justice. Attorney General Pam Bondi revealed that the Facebook takedown in an X post and Twitter post, which a Meta spokesperson confirmed but declined to provide specific details. Meta's removal of the Facebook group page follows similar moves, like I mentioned, from Apple and Google, which has also recently removed apps that could be used to anonymously report sightings of ICE agents and other law enforcement. So we kind of talked about this last week, but let's continue the conversation now that these big tech companies are obliging to what this Department of Justice, this administration is saying, even if I don't want to say it violates anything. I mean, Apple, Google, and Facebook or Meta are all private companies and they can do whatever they want. But what do you feel that they are moving heaven and earth to pave the way for these ICE agents and for this administration to just do whatever it wants?
So it was last week, Tim Cook getting that work. This week it's Mark Zuckerberg
Mhm.
getting the same type of work with them acquiescing to this administration. Um, and I think honestly, it's twofold. I think it's one, the fact that they are trying to make sure that they get favorable terms for their businesses.
Mhm.
And so they're doing these things like we've already mentioned, going to the inauguration, going, giving them made up awards,
Mhm.
uh, you know, donating to his campaign and to his inauguration, all these things, you know, they are, in my opinion, doing to get favorable returns and to stay on the good side of this man child. I think the other thing, which I think is honestly probably a bigger issue, a broader issue, in the fact that so many of these social media and tech companies are leaning toward, they're really leaning into like this authoritarianism, I think I said that correctly,
Mhm.
type of mentality where they are really taking things that were meant to be in the hands of the public.
Mhm.
So Twitter used to be like the town square,
Mhm.
social engagement, connecting with people.
Mhm.
They People were really organizing
Mhm.
and um you know connecting and starting movements and doing these things, and I think it's just a part of the broader issue where a handful of billionaires are
Mhm.
basically trying to run all the communications. We've seen it with broadcast television, with the networks.
Mhm.
We've seen it with the tech companies now. We're seeing it now with TikTok.
And we seen a
Um,
regular media. Washington Post is
yeah,
owned by, what's your
traditional
boy's
print
name?
media. Yeah. So it's
Mm.
one of the things where I think it's all a part of a larger plan, because you can't tell me when you get all these type of people in the room, they aren't just trying to find ways to make their business better. They're
Mhm.
trying to find ways to make even more money
Control.
and control the
Mhm.
general populace. And I think that's the part that we aren't possibly potentially giving enough attention to. We're only giving enough attention to the part that's really visible with, oh yeah, they're just trying to kiss Trump's ass and this, that, and the third. But I think there is a larger, work at play. I think someone said recently that the people who had the Dominion voting machines,
Mhm.
they sued Fox or somebody and got all this money. Now that company is owned by a Trump loyalist as well. So
Mhm.
it's all, I think, about consolidating power. That's the word I was looking for the second thing. I think acquiescing to this administration and consolidating power and control of the flow of communication and engagement to just a select few people.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point, right? Not a good point, but it brings up something that I've watched recently, Alien Earth, right? This is the
Mhm.
latest series on FX of the Alien franchise. Basically, the plot of that movie is there are 5 corporations that have banded together and decided they're going to equally control the world, basically. And the alien ship is owned by one company. There's another company trying to get whatever is on the ship. So the other company sabotages the chip. So it crash lands in the company's property, like their area. Like,
Mhm.
let's think of like California, right?
Mhm.
The other, the main one of the second main company sabotaged the other company's ship with all these stuff on it. You know what the stuff is, right?
Yeah.
They try to get that plane, the ship to crash land in their
On their property.
so they can hurry up, get in, extract whatever's in there before the other company can come and say, "Hey, that's our property. We need that back." Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Right. So it just when people are saying that America's turning into an authoritarian government,
Mhm.
and you think of the tech companies as the oligarchs, because in
Mhm.
order for authoritarian government to work, it needs oligarchs, the
Right.
people at the head that have banded together. This movie reminds me exactly of where we're going right now
Art
with all
imitating life, imitating art.
exactly. All right, so that is enough for that. We're going to done second string. Now we're going to move into for the culture, And Nica, where were you when you heard D'Angelo's Untitled, or not heard, where you saw the Untitled video with D'Angelo? Because that seems to be a major inflection point in his career.
It was indeed a major inflection point. I can't remember exactly where I was,
Mm-hmm.
but I can remember how I felt
Mm-hmm.
seeing the visual and hearing the song.
Mm-hmm.
And, you talk about transcendent experiences and responses to things. That was one of them
Mm-hmm.
because we've seen, you know, overtly sexual, visuals,
Mm-hmm.
but something about that particular video, a
Mm-hmm.
single camera, him shirt, well, naked, I believe, and just spinning
Mm-hmm.
on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just close up, on his face. And he's singing this song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where he couldn't even put a title to it. I'm assuming because it was just that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where hearing the song and seeing the video in real time at the same time, it was like wow. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, you get the sexy part of it, but the song itself and the emotion, the
Mm-hmm.
way he emoted the words that he was singing. And again, this is a close up shot of him singing the song, very stripped down
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. And it's one of those things where, when you saw this video, and, back then we didn't have social media like we have now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really authentic and organic, and it drove a lot of conversation because we had to actually talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Couldn't wait to get to work.
right. And it was really one of those things that was like, wow.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, D'Angelo was well, still is a popular R&B singer who pretty much, I don't want to say launched, but mainlined, or streamlined is a better word, streamlined neo soul. It
Hmm.
was him and a couple other artists that had that Marvin Gaye, that smooth, soulful sound that was unlike rap, that was unlike traditional R&B. Him and Erica Badu and Bilal and Music
Raphael
Soul
Sadiq.
Child and Raphael Sadiq,
Yeah.
all in the early 2000s, like streamlined this neo soul. And D'Angelo, even though he came out in the mid to late 90s, around the 2000s, that's when he was the most popular.
Hmm.
And that's when, like we mentioned, he filmed this Untitled video slash song that took the world by storm, specifically the sisters
Yep. We were in it.
by storm. But fast forward to today, it is sad to say that, rest in peace, D'Angelo. He has died this past week at the age of 51. And I think cancer is what got
Pancreatic
him. Yeah,
cancer.
pancreatic cancer got him. So I wanted to tell a story, right?
Okay.
I don't have a personal D'Angelo story, but I was hearing, all after the news broke out, everybody's telling their D'Angelo stories. All these titans of music, are telling their, posting, telling their D'Angelo stories, right?
Hmm.
One story, I wondered if it was true or not, but it would make sense because D'Angelo has always seemed like not like a recluse, but somebody who really wasn't in it for the limelight.
Hmm.
And Torre, one a popular social media influencer, just a media person in the Black community, he was telling a story about D'Angelo, and basically he was saying that video pretty much changed the trajectory of his career for D'Angelo for the negative. And he tells a story about how the video came to be, that D'Angelo himself did not want it to be known as one of these R&B crooners
Hmm.
that's got the moves, it's got the look. You think of like a Chris Brown of today, think of like a Michael Jackson of yesteryear.
Hmm.
You think of those guys, it's got the sound, they got the sound,
Hmm.
but they also are pop stars.
Hmm.
D'Angelo did not want to be a pop star.
Mm-mm.
He wanted to be known as an artist,
A soul singer.
a soul singer, and then that was it. But of course, you can't do that and make money in today's world. So they were
No.
pushing him, to go on tour and do these things. And when the video came up, he really did not want to do this video, to the point to where they had to drag him out of the limo to get into the studio to film this video, because he knew, or he felt, that when when the video comes out, he's going to have to live up to this
Sex
sexy,
symbol.
yes, sex symbol, right? Sex symbol. And he turned inward, introvert,
Hmm.
because when he would get on stage
People want to
and
see him with shirt off.
yes, and he sing the songs, all the people in the crowd, specifically the women, were like, when are you going to take your shirt
When are you
off?
going to get naked?
Take it off, right? And according to the story, that bothered him so much so to where, I don't want to say that derailed his career, but that was the highlight of his career, whether he wanted it to be or not. And I
Right.
thought that was an interesting story.
And I think, and I have to agree, I saw a story that Raphael Sadiq told, and he
Mhm,
was basically, he told him to come through the crib. He had a studio in his house. They were gonna do a jam session, make some music, and he didn't come the
mhm,
first day. And when he did come the second day, he was like surprised. Like Raphael Sadiq was like, I mean, Tony. I mean, Raphael Sadiq, for the last 4 decades, he has his fingerprints
mhm.
all over
Producing, songwriting.
everybody.
Yep.
Right. And he said that D'Angelo was expecting, to pull up to this big mansion with a bunch of people around. And
Mhm,
he said that D'Angelo was a very quiet dude. He
mhm,
didn't like a lot of people around. He didn't like a spectacle, none of that stuff. And so when he came to his house, he was like, Raphael City was like, I lived in this 2-bedroom, $230,000 house. My studio was in the garage. And when he got there, he was like relieved, because
it wasn't all.
that's why he didn't come the first day, because of what the expectation, what he thought a person like him being Raphael Sadiq, house looked like, and people would be there. And he was, pleasantly surprised when he got there that it wasn't. And I say all that to say is, one of D'Angelo's biggest influences, what I've come to find out, was Prince.
Mhm,
And Prince, as we know, was a musician, played multiple instruments, wrote, arranged, sang, performed, all of those things. And when you told that story, I completely get it, because I saw another video where he said that he didn't want to be known as a neo soul singer. He's like, I make music for black people. I make black music. And if
mhm,
it flows into that, then that's what it was. But he didn't want to be, like you said, pop mainstream. He made music for black people. If that
mhm,
got him the success, cool. If it didn't, cool. He wanted to make music. He was, from what all I've seen from people say, he was a purist.
mhm,
He liked to play his instruments, he liked to sing, not, all the fireworks and all the stuff. Get on the stage and perform. So it's one of those things where he really was talented. I saw something where Smokey Robinson was talking, because he sampled Smokey Robinson's "Cruisin',"
mhm,
made that into a beautiful song. I mean, he's just had song after song, and for him to be so young, 51,
mhm,
from pancreatic cancer, and we know Chadwick Boseman, he passed from colon cancer. So all of these gastrointestinal um, cancers,
mhm,
our black men are dying from, and dying from young. So, I hate to say it, every time, we lose, a pillar,
mhm,
an icon, a person of note in our community, to something like this, because I think it happened with Heavy D and all these other people who've
mhm,
passed from, I won't say preventable things,
mhm.
but diseases that if you catch them early enough,
Sure.
you
Fi
can,
A whole bunch of artists.
it
Fight.
makes it a lot easier to
Mhm.
overcome them or live with them or whatever the case may be. And I just don't know what else we can do to encourage, especially Black men,
Mhm.
to go to the doctor to get the tests, especially if you have, a family history or something. You need to go before the recommended time. And
Mhm.
it just makes me, I'm not saying that he didn't do those things. For him to be so young,
A lot of them. A lot young.
I think, with pancreatic colon cancer, they're very aggressive.
Mhm.
And so if you don't catch them early, and you I think you don't get like colon. Well, I know for women, I don't know about for men, but you don't start getting your screenings until you're like in your mid 40s.
Mhm.
So sometimes you go and get your screening
And then boom.
and it's too late, or, whatever the case may be. But it's just one of those things where this man was so young,
And
so
talented.
talented,
Mhm.
and his um Angie Stone, him and Angie Stone were together a long time.
Mhm.
She passed away earlier this year. They have one son together. And
Mhm.
so now, over the course of a year, this young man has lost his mom to a car accident and his dad now to cancer. And it's
Mhm.
just one of those things where it just breaks my heart. We're sad because we're fans. I can't even imagine,
The
you
family,
know,
close friends.
being, someone's child or
Mhm.
mother or sister, aunt, or those types of things. And it really, a friend of mine texted to me because I try not to get on social media first thing in the morning. I try and give myself a few hours before I even get on email or anything like that, just to kind of ease into my day. And when I saw her text message that morning, I was like, oh my God.
Yep. Yep. This should be a message again. Take care of yourself as much as you possibly can. I know a lot of this stuff comes out of left field, but we definitely got to do better. But RIP to D'Angelo, and
Absolutely.
condolences to his family and friends and all those people who are much closer to him than we were. We
Yeah.
just know the music.
Right. We're just fans of the art. So I can
Hmm.
only imagine what this means to his family, and definitely rest in power, my brother.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of health, we're going to move into the hookup. And my hookup for the week is you might want to try out Apple Fitness Workout Buddy. And basically, what Workout Buddy is you can set up your workout for different targets. And if you reach, go above, or fall below those targets, you'll have a person in your ear saying you're below your target. Keep pushing to get up into your target, or you're above the target. Make sure you're staying in rhythm or something like that. And I thought it
Mhm,
was kind of a joke, not really a
mhm.
joke. I thought it was like a gimmick rather, until I actually used it.
Okay.
Now the caveat is I like to just use my Apple Watch and my AirPods. I leave my phone in at home or in the car wherever I am, because my Apple Watch has LTE,
Mhm,
so I can listen to music. I can track my workouts because I'm still connected to the internet. With the Workout Buddy, you have to have your iPhone present. So if you need to stick it in your pocket or get an armband or whatever the case may be, keep it on your person. When you do and you start a workout and you've got your target set, the Workout Buddy is not invasive. It's not, lame. It actually helped me out, because what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to walk. And word on the street is, in order for walking to have benefits, you have to walk for longer than 30 minutes, and you have to be at zone 2. There are
mhm.
different zones, target zones for your heart rate. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. You would assume that the harder you work, the faster your heart is pumping, the more calories you're going to burn, the more weight you're going to lose. That is not the case, especially for people my age.
You
People
need to be above the resting heart rate,
for
not in the cardio burn, but
right,
right in your normal range.
for a sustained amount of time. It can't be
Right.
10 minutes. It can't be 15 minutes. You have to be in your, mine's zone 2. For most of us is zone 2. And you got to be
Mhm.
there for at least 30 minutes. And all that to say, this Workout Buddy, I don't have to look at my watch, because before, when I didn't have my phone, I was always looking at my watch to make sure I'm in the
Make
right
sure your heart
target
rate.
zone.
Yeah.
Right. But now with the workout buddy, when I stuck my phone in my pocket and did the same walk, same location, it would audibly tell me, hey, you're above your zone. Hey, you're above your zone or below your zone. And I can
So
speed
they
up or
just
slow
slow
down.
down or speed up.
Exactly,
Ah,
exactly. So that is my hookup for the week. If you are using Apple Fitness workouts, make sure you keep your phone on you and try the workout buddy. Again, you got to make sure you set the targets. But once you do, if you start your workout, you actually get that audible person in your ear saying, good job, step it up, slow it down, so on and so forth.
nice.
So that is going to do it for the hookup. And that means that is going to do it for this week's show. Nica, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH. To connect, to comment, to share, to support the show, get all the information, please go to our website, snoboscast.com. You'll get all of our information and you'll be able to listen to the show there as well as on all the places that you listen to podcasts. Keep supporting us. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.